So to write your first multi-threaded program, you just need to learn 3 functions from the pthreads library. Before we go into the details of the parameters and the behavior of these functions, let's try to understand how they fit in the overall programming design pattern. Now let's try to understand how this program is going to work. In the simple most multi-threaded program, the main function will begin just like a single threaded program, and inside it you have the option to place a call to pthread create. This is going to cause a new thread to be formed at runtime, and at runtime this thread will now start execution along with the thread which is executing the main function. Very soon we will see how we should write the function that is going to execute inside a new thread. It is very similar to writing a conventional function, but you have to do something different. In particular, for the simplest case, you will notice that when this function is done, instead of using return, you have to use pthread_exit. This is because this is not a usual function. It is a function that encapsulates the code intended to execute in a separate thread. So by calling pthread_exit, we tell the runtime system that we are done, that this thread is done executing. Now in the simplest case, the main thread and the additional thread both are executing in parallel. However, there is one extra thing that must be done in the main thread, and that is a call to pthread join. The reason behind this is that the way they have designed the pthreads library is that the main thread which created a new thread, it is supposed to wait for the new thread to complete execution. In other words, the main thread should not just form additional threads and forget about them. That is not how it should be done. So to sum it up, in the simplest case, the main thread is going to call pthread create, which causes the new thread to form. The new thread will execute, and when it is done, it should indicate its completion by calling pthread_exit. The main thread should also call pthread join, which is essentially going to cause it to pause until the new thread has completed execution. Okay, here is a situation which is going to clear up some confusion about pthread join. Pthread join can be called immediately after pthread create, or you could have some statements in between pthread create and pthread join. Whenever pthread join is called, the main thread will be put on hold, and it will remain on hold until the thread for which we are waiting calls pthread_exit. And we will see when we look at the parameters of pthread create, pthread join and pthread_exit that we have a whole mechanism to keep track of the thread that we form using pthread create, and using that same mechanism we specify it as a parameter in pthread join. So when we call pthread join, we explicitly specify which thread we are interested in waiting for completion. Yet another related scenario is presented where the pthread join is called much later after the completion of the thread function. This is also a possibility. The important thing is that you have to place pthread create and pthread join in the main function, and inside the thread function you have to place pthread_exit. This is the minimal setup required to create a multi-threaded program. A multi-threaded program which has 2 threads.